Good morning and welcome for another dive into what's like to be a Christian, understanding what it means to be following Christ. So we've seen so many things before, and today I would like just to talk about how do we live our lives. You know, being a follower of Christ is about changing our lives so that we can follow Christ based on his many teachings and the way that he asks us to follow him. So now, one of the biggest commandments, when Jesus was asked, what is the biggest commandment? He replied, you should love your God with all your heart, all your mind, everything that you have. You should love God first. So first, it's about having a personal relationship with God the Father. And this relationship is only possible if we go through Jesus Christ, who can lead us to the Father. Why? Because he is the one who was the only one who is appointed by God to reveal God to humankind. And by accepting and following Christ, we end up with the Father. Jesus famously said, the one who has seen me has seen the Father. And then the second commandment is you should love your neighbor as yourself. And then the disciples, the people around him, asked him this other big question, but who is my neighbor? And he went on to give the parable of the Good Samaritan. And that is the very particular difference that following Jesus brings in our life, taking care of our neighbor. So in that parable, if we read it, we understand that our neighbor can be anyone who has any need. So the follower of Christ came for everyone. So John 3:16 says, God so loved the world here we understand all his creation, that he sent his only begotten son, so that everyone who believed in the Son, who believed in that manifestation of love of God for his creation, anyone who believed and would place their trust in Jesus would be saved. So the action that Jesus did is he came for his neighbor. He came for everyone. So he extended his love, his grace, his compassion, everything he has, he extended that to the sinner, to the one who even did not know him, or he did not know that person, well, in the sense of a man. But still he extended the love, the grace, and everything he had, gave it to them, so that they could benefit from everything good thing that he had. So that is what is expected from us followers of Christ. One of the words that touched my heart, and it's about the end times, and Jesus is looking at everyone and judging everyone, and he said, when I was poor, you did not take care of me. When I was hungry, you did not give me any food. When I was in prison, you did not visit me. When I was thirsty, you did not give me water. So we can go on like that. There's so many things that the poor and the needy are in a situation, but nobody did that. And then in the opposite, he says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me food. When I was in prison, you visited me. And the person said, when did I do that, Jesus? I never did that to you. So he would say, when you did that to the least of them, you did it to me. So following Christ is about taking care of others. It is not about ourselves. One of the biggest mistakes that so many people make, and so many preaching out there, is about you, me, how you can get there, how you can get on the top, how you can be rich, how you can be so, forgetting about the other. If you read the 10 Commandments, most of the commandments is about God, and the rest is about how you deal with your fellow neighbor, how you deal with the other person. So this is what brings this is the change that Jesus brings in our life. So because when we are without God, we are living for ourselves. It's a lot of selfishness in the way we go around with our life. We want to achieve for ourselves. We want to get money for ourselves. We want to be great for ourselves. Like we are the main center of attraction. But when we follow Christ, we are no longer the center of attraction. So you have two attractions. One is God, and the other one is how do I help the other one? How do I help the needy? How do I help the poor? How do I help the orphans? How do I help the widow? How do I help them? Because Jesus came for all these people, and he's asking me, he changed my life, he blessed me, and he is asking me, take care of the needy and the poor. So the Christian, the follower of Christ, once he met Jesus and Jesus has changed his life, he takes the burden of Jesus. He takes part in the work that Jesus is doing in that world, that is going to meet the needy. So there is a lot of poverty, spiritual poverty, emotional poverty, financial poverty, all these kinds of poverties. And remember the Olivet Course when Jesus says, blessed are the poor in his spirit, for etc. and etc. So we are the followers of Christ, who are mandated to continue the work of Christ around us. It's not about us anymore. The moment we meet Jesus, it's no longer about us. It's about Jesus. It's about what he wants to do with this world. And it's about how we can serve him in accomplishing what God has planned as the master plan of salvation. So being a Christian is forgetting who we are and starting to live as God has planned for us. Paul would say, it's no longer I, but Jesus. And he will also say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So there is a complete change of direction. And that would be very visible in the life of the follower of Christ. That should be very visible in your life. The love, the new kind of love, will push us towards doing what Christ has been doing. The love that we receive from Christ will make us, okay, it's not about me anymore. Look at these people. So compassion will come inbuilt with us. What is compassion? Compassion is when we see a situation and it's like we are living that situation and we have an urge inside. We have to act upon that situation and bring God in that situation so that person no longer suffers whatever suffering it might be. And how can we do that? Of course, God equips us. We know that he says by the prophet Joel, in the last days, he will send his spirit over us. So we receive the Spirit of God. We receive also spiritual gifts. We receive talents. We receive capacities. And all these are tools that God gives us so that we can pursue the mandate of Jesus. We all speak about the Great Commission. Go about the world, preach the gospel, baptize them, make them disciples, and teach them the teaching of Christ. And this can only be done if we live as Jesus has recommended. It's not about just preaching the word, it's about living the love as Jesus lived for us. So how do we deal with our neighbors, bad neighbors? You should love them. You should be praying for them. So the way we relate to people changes completely in Jesus. So if there is an enemy, we would be an enemy to him. So we don't want good for him. Okay, we want him to be punished. We want him to die. We want so many things. But Jesus, when we meet Jesus, we want him to know Jesus as I have known, and we pray for him. We want him to be just. We forgive. We forget. And we reconcile, we continue. So today I wanted to put the point that we no longer live for ourselves. We live for others. Who want to live for others? Who want to lose their time for others? Who want to invest time in the lives of others? Who want to do that? Who want to use their wealth for others to progress? So this is what is also characteristics characteristic of the lives of the followers of Christ. You know, the reason the Roman Empire, the reason that Christianity grew so much during this time is because the followers of Christ at that time were accepting all the people who were rejected. In the Roman Empire, if the first born was not a son, it was a daughter, she was rejected. If there was any kind of handicap, they were rejected. So what the believers of Christ at that time, they would go and adopt these children and show love and mercy and grace and compassion, and moved by their way of life. Many Romans of that time started to follow Christ also, because they could see the love, the acceptation, adoption, the care, the compassion in that new way of life. And everybody is aspiring to be loved, to be taken care of, to be part of something. And this is what Jesus brings in our life. We are part of his body, and that is what we should be bringing to the society. If you are a Christian, if you are following Christ, this is on the path. See you in the next episode.